Hey, so what's up again? Uh, yeah, it is nighttime, so my lighting is kind of Doctor Who poster in the back. I know I said in my last video I wasn't going to update this again until next week, but I decided to take a different approach. This fact is about the martial arts paths you can take. Now, as I said in my first video, I am a philosopher of sorts. I like to not only expand on martial arts knowledge as far as the history and where art comes from, where it's going. I also like to develop philosophies on my art in order to better understand it, in order to better teach it, to help learn it, practice it, so forth and so on. One of them is, where can you go as a martial artist? What paths do martial artists take? Now, when I set up this list, it was years ago, and it took me a while to articulate it properly in order to teach others. Before I begin the list of paths, remember this. As you hear this list, there are no two paths you can walk at the same time. You will never walk more than one path at once. However, you will walk more than one path in your lifetime. There will never be anyone who will walk one path their entire life, unless you maybe live for, I don't know, 5 years or something, and that's all you got. So, yeah. So, there are 12 paths to being a martial artist. 12 different paths any martial artist will walk on. And as you hear these paths, you may hear some similarities to how these paths can relate to other things you do in life, other tasks you may perform, and other deeds you may commit to. Because, as I said before, art of fighting, the fight is a struggle, and life is a struggle. And everything that deals with balance, everything that deals with order, the cosmos, nature, whatever it may have you, is existence. So, you may find similarities with these 12 paths with some other tasks you may try to perform in your everyday life. So, let's get started. My computer screen without that. These paths go in no particular order. First path I will mention, I call the dream path. This path is for the sake of legacy and history. These are people who practice martial arts because of historical truth. These people who study martial arts because it may be in the family, it may be, my dad was a master, my dad's dad was a master, or we come from a long line of martial artists, that sort of thing. So people who study it for the sake of legacy or the dream. Next path, the crown path. This is for the sake of knowledge and discovery. This is going to sound kind of weird in the martial arts sense, but hear me out. People who study martial arts to learn more of nature. People who study martial arts for the aesthetic sense. So if you practice Wing Chun, Tai Chi, whatever, and you're trying to open up your eyes to the beauty of nature, or you're trying to philosophize, that's a word. Expand your mind, expand your artistic edge, your creativity, your horizons. Even come up with new exercises or new workout routines. Further expressing with the crown, like crown chakra. Sun path, third path. This is for the sake of personal health, mind and body. These are people who practice martial arts solely for health benefits. People who practice martial arts just to get in shape, just to get fit. Maybe they have an ailment. Sun paths, I call it, because, we get our life from the sun. So, sun keeps you healthy, keeps your nails strong, your hair colored. Health, sun, get the idea. Next path, the trophy path. This is the path for recognition, glory. This is kind of common sense. Those who fight solely for tournaments, trophy path. We have a lot of these martial arts out here. We call them athletes. These are people who practice sports martial arts. Anything from boxing to MMA to K1, whatever. Their martial arts are effective and they are destructive in their own right. But they're not deadly. They're not truly meant for street. They're not truly meant for survival. They're really meant more for competition. That's what they're using them for. There's nothing wrong with that. Do you. Voice path. This is path for instruction. This is path for teaching. I call it a voice path because, you have to speak to pass on knowledge. It's people who study the martial arts only to teach others. This is one of those paths you don't necessarily take from the beginning. It's something you kind of come across as you get older, mature in your martial arts learnings. So, those who are on the voice path, kind of like myself, I'm an example of this, who continue their study in martial arts, continue their training in martial arts, just so they can show others how to better themselves in their craft or their skills. You're welcome, by the way. Gold path for the sake of fortune in business. Most martial arts schools and chains, for example, are example of gold path. People who use their martial arts in order to gain a profit solely. This does differ from the trophy path. The trophy path is clearly for the recognition and the belt, the title, whatever. I mean, yes, you get paid for it, but that's not your initial gain. The gold path, however, is clearly for business. These people open up chains in schools, not necessarily to teach, but they're really trying to turn a profit or a buck. These same people who also teach in, maybe private instructors, they may be solely trainers. Not necessarily teachers in martial arts, but instructors, so to speak. Those who really help you to get stronger just to get money. And it's not like it's a bad thing. I mean, it's a living. So, take what you love, what you know, and turn a profit. Next up is the blood path. The blood path is for revenge. This path I don't suggest, clearly, but it happens. Those who pick up a martial arts skill for payback. You may want to fight a bully, family member, actual enemy. This is a path people take solely to get, revenge. That's why I call it blood. That should be kind of a common sense thing. And this path is not really walked very long. I mean, people use martial arts for this sole purpose, usually study for a small bit of time, and then they're done with it, just as a means to an end. And that's really sad, in my opinion. But, shield path. This is for the sake of protecting others. And the shield is kind of clear to why it is. These people would study martial arts just to keep others safe, or they take their martial arts training to keep others safe. I like this path. It's a noble path. You find a lot of people who do this, or soldiers, for example, officers. People used to put this in their code of ethics. At least I think, Or next up is the arena path. This is a path of test of the forever student. These are people who do martial arts because it's all they know. They train every day, practice every day. They don't care about the recognition. They don't care about the glory. They don't care about the fame, the money. They have no one to take it out on. None of that. They're just on a personal test to become stronger. These people, martial arts is like their religion. They're pious to their skills and crafts. These people, as forever students, they just live to test themselves every day. That's all they do. That's all they know. It's called the arena path because, the arena is where you test your skills. And they treat life like an arena. Every day is a test. These are the kind of people you will come across that they want to spar you. They want to challenge you. They want to always see how good you are compared to their skill. These are people where their victory is always a personal victory. Next is the moon path. So your control, rule, or dominance. This is something you don't see very often anymore. This is a very old path people don't oftentimes take. These are people who use martial arts as a means of controlling others, gaining people to do what they want them to do. Something old, you see emperors would do this. You kind of see it now. People who fight to make people follow them. If you want to create a gang, it's a good way of doing it. You beat people up and make them do as you say. This is basically a path of a bully, so to speak. Called moon because moon's usually associated with being crazy, lunacy, all that good stuff. And I think it's kind of crazy when people follow you in any sense or form or fashion based on, because you can just be bigger than them. Next is the paper path for the sense of artistic expression. This is not a very common path, I'll give it to you, but I've seen it. So when I wrote this list originally, I listed it, and it does kind of hold some truth. These are people who study martial arts on the idea of artistic expression. This does differ from the crown path. The crown path is for the sake of knowledge and discovery. Knowledge of internal truth, philosophical things, being more enlightened on the crown path. So you know the difference. The paper path is to help you with poetry, to help you with illustrations, paintings. A lot of the katas you see, like in Chinese martial arts, they say something. They're not just movements. There's poetry in motion. This can also be used in dance. People who are dancers and martial artists are paper path martial artists. Their martial arts may be inspiring their dance, or vice versa. So yes, this is a path that is actually seen. It's just not oftentimes recognized. Usually people on the paper path, when you see them, you kind of question their motives, and you kind of don't understand why they're doing it. I mean, even video games use it a lot. He's not just a martial artist, he's also a chef, and his fighting influences his cooking. It's not common, no, but it exists. I call it paper path because with paper, you write down stuff on paper. You are artistically expressing yourself. Last but not least, sword. The sword path is for devotion, faith, and servitude. These are people who study martial arts because it's an order. Monks, for example, are sword path martial artists. It is only because their faith says they must. This is when you study it to defend a holy place, or this is one of the more mystical, to me, ideas when it comes to martial arts. You study it because it is a divine right. It's a religious thing more than anything else. And I call it sword because swords kind of have that cross shape, you know? And usually you think of knights when you think of swords, and they had devotion to their lords or kings or chancellors. So, 12 past martial artists. Now you know-ish. And, you know, of course, if you have any questions, comments down below. Let me know what you think. If you think I missed anything, that will be an interesting thing there. Give me an idea and see if I can add it to the list. I don't see if I have anything. I mean, but let me know. If you think, let me know. Of course, like, subscribe. Well, this is Groove. Nice talking with you. And I hope you learned something. Train hard, yeah?